Welcome to The Secrets of Success. By following the proven techniques of the guests who appear on this series, you'll learn that even successful people run into detours and failures, and how you can apply their success techniques to change your life.
You're now listening to the most unique show on radio, the show dedicated to making you a success. Thalma Lobel says success is simple. Just do whatever works. Thalma, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very glad.
Thalma, that's the title of your book, correct? Whatever Works?
Yeah.
And could I say, could we essentially summarize it by saying you've broken down the workplace to many simple things that can increase the bottom line and make the workers a lot happier. Would that be a fair description?
Yeah, it's a fair description, but I would add more successful and happier. So both.
Successful, yes. Let's get that word success. We can't forget that. Now, prior to the pandemic, Thalma, we were moving toward open spaces. I think a lot of offices. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct. But already before the pandemic, a lot of criticism was heard all over, in the journals, in conversations. People were complaining especially about the noise and lack of privacy. And
Personally, I always thought that. I didn't know how people could work when you put that many people together. I guess it's just my ears, but I would pick up a conversation, or I would hear somebody else talking or interrupt them, or they would interrupt me. But it seemed for many years that was the big thing. Is that type of office changing now?
Yeah, it is. As I said, even before the pandemic, I'll talk a little bit later about the changes that for the pandemic. But even before that, many people really realized that, for example, you say that it disturbs you that some other people talk. Studies showed, for example, that when you hear somebody talking on the phone, it disturbs you more because you don't hear the other side. So then somebody said, "Oh, wow, what?" And then you start thinking, "What did the other person say to him?" And it disturbs you. So people are complaining, as I said, about the noise, about lack of privacy. Every movement that they do, they touch their hair, they do something, everybody can see that. So you are all the time self-conscious, which is not that good. And a lot of companies solve the problem by doing both. So you have an open space so people can interact, but then you have also private offices when you want to really concentrate and do things, not being disturbed by noise and other stuff. So you go to the other rooms which are private. So it's not only your office, but it's kind of flexible. So
and if I read and took good notes from your book, something like 70% of the employees actually had fewer interactions when they had this open office. So
yeah, that was a study recently done that showed that they interacted via email, but not directly. Maybe because they saw that every interaction is seen by everybody, So even that was not what they hoped to. When you have a small group in an open space, that's a different thing. So you come especially for interaction, for brainstorming. That's one thing, and you need that. But a lot of time, you want to sit alone, work on your own stuff, not being interrupted, not being seen by everybody, every movement that you are doing. And if you want to interact, you go out of the office, you go to the cooler, you have a coffee with somebody, and then you talk.
Now,
or you make a special arrangement that now we are a group that team work and brainstorming. That's one thing.
I think I read too that workers who had offices or split offices, which I guess we tend to want to do, use the space the best we can, but that also increased sick days, didn't it?
Definitely, yeah. Especially now in the pandemic, I think nobody would want to work in a huge place that closed, that everybody is sitting and breathing in the same. So now it's definitely not a good thing.
Let me ask you, what would you recommend to a business, even pre-pandemic, that you find that businesses like to have the open space? It seems that it's congenial for people, but the workers don't seem happy with it. It's interrupting conversations, etc. And sharing an office, I guess, can breed germs or some additional sick days. So what was your advice to businesses in those situations?
Well, it depends, on their budget, and a a lot of things if they can afford. But if they can afford, the best thing is that most people will have their own offices. If you want me, I can talk about temperature and light and all that, or you want that will be your next questions.
Oh, we'll get into that, yeah.
Okay. Now only about the open floor. So just to summarize, the best thing is that everybody will have his or her own office, but you have also open spaces that people can come and work as a team. If you can't do that because of budget and etc., at least allocate many offices that will be private, and when somebody needs to do her or his private, work concentrating on something, there will be a place that person will go. But if they are in the open offices, they can put earphones, they can listen to music, they can do other things that will avoid the distractions of the noise, not the privacy. The privacy, people can see what you do.
And Thalma, just for our audience to let them know, not only have you written the book, Whatever Works, but you've written other books on this topic, and you actually teach this and lecture on it at literally the top universities in the world. Am I correct?
Yeah, I can tell you some things about myself. When I started working as a professor, of course, I published articles in the best journals, professional journals. But my dream was always to write for the general audience. So people will learn from all these studies that are so important for our lives. So 6 years ago, I wrote a book called Sensation, the New Science of Physical Intelligence, which was translated to 15 different countries, many, many languages. And it was quite a success because it showed people how our physical sensations influence our decisions, behavior, and judgments. This book is a continuation of that, but focuses on the word of work, which actually applies to almost everybody. And as we go along with our conversation, I'll talk more about it, of course.
Now, Thalma, I saw a word in your book, Whatever Works, and you mentioned the term hybrid office. What is a hybrid office?
It's what I explained now, that you change from. It's not one type of office. People can go from one side to the other side. It's not that you have your own office and that's it. You can, there are all kind of common areas, and that some work you will do on that. But not that you have your own private office, but not also that you have your own cubicles and that's it. But there are other things. I don't think that's mainly the same thing.
Now, we always hear of the big shot talking about the corner office and the big window, etc. Is that just, a nice thing? I can have a status watch on that everybody knows costs $5,000. Is that just for status, or is there a real reason behind the work of having a window in an office? Because people seem to like that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you asked that, because a window is, of course, it's, a corner of. I remember when I came to Harvard many years ago for the first time teaching, and I didn't know, I was really a young professor. Somebody told me, "Oh, you got a corner office," and I even didn't know what they meant, that it was such a status symbol. But window, it's definitely much more than a symbol of status, and I'll explain. First, there are several things that window is doing. First of all, it gives you daytime light, not artificial light. There are many studies that show that people are more alert and perform better in a light that comes out of the window rather than an artificial light. And there are many studies that show that. So if you have a choice, either if you work from home or if you have an office, have a window if you have a choice, because and don't close the shades.
Shades or blinds.
Yeah, or blinds. Because some people think, I have my computer screen, I can look, I don't need that. No, daylight is very, very important, and it enhances our performance. So first of all, that's the first function of a window. The other function, which is very important, if you have a nice nature view, not always you do, but if you have, nature has a lot of influence on our performance and well-being. And if you want, I can elaborate on that. Nature is not only something nice, which most of us agree, to look at trees on the beach, at the waves, at forests. This is nice, but there is much more than that. There are many, many studies that show that even a brief tour or sitting and looking at trees, flowers, or any other scene of nature reduces stress as measured by physiological things like blood pressure, heart rate, etc., and enhances our performance. For example, there is a study that was done in Asia that people were taken to many forests or urban environments, and their physiological measures were measured just before they came to the place, and then they were sitting for 15 minutes, then they took a walk for 16 minutes. And their physiological measures were rated again. And it was, and the other half always did exactly the same thing in urban environments. And it was found again and again that those who sat in a nature scene or walked reduced their stress. They were less anxious, their heart rate was lower, they really felt better. Other studies showed, in the States, for example, one study was done in Stanford, that they asked people to take a walk either in the urban area or in a park near the campus. And before that, before and after, they gave them cognitive tasks. And those who walked in nature performed better on these cognitive tasks than those who walked in urban area. So what I'm saying is that if you have a chance, definitely take a break. It's so important. If you think I have so much to do, take even a short break. And if you have a chance to have to look at nature, go down and walk or even look at trees and flowers. If you have a view from your window, go to the window if you don't have a lot of time and watch. Or even for a short time, even for a minute, take a break, get up from your chair, look at the window and look at trees. You will see that you will get both. Your stress will reduce and you will perform better.
Thalma, I want our audience to know, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan. Today, our guest is Thalma Lobel, spelled Lobel. She's the author of the book, Whatever Works. Can you tell us the website and where we can get that book?
Yeah, my website is thalmalobel.com, as you write THALMA, Lobel, Lobel, that's one word, .com. And you can get the book, Whatever Works, in Amazon, in Barnes & Nobles, online, in all the places that sell books. And
you have a lot of interesting tips that are very inexpensive for many businesses. So slight changes can really affect the bottom line. And one I'm going to ask you, I think I read something about how does lighting affect self-control?
Well, yeah, I'm glad you asked this question, because some of the things in the book, what I'm proud of, that I really want people to know, is that not the obvious things. I'm talking about things that are under our nose and can change our life or our performance, but people don't know them. So, for example, light. We know that light is important and all that, and I said just a minute ago that it enhances our performance, but it also influences the way we regulate our behavior, our self-control. People are less inclined to break the rules if it's in a lighted room, and they are also less often choose hedonic choices rather than more practical choices.
Now, what is a hedonic choice? That's an unusual word for our audience. You said hedonic. What is that?
If you can choose either kind of application that will show you all the time great movies, or application that will show you what should you eat to be healthy.
Practical or something we enjoy. Okay.
Enjoy, yeah. So, as I said again, there are many studies that showed that people, for example, if they wore sunglasses and they saw the room a little bit more dark, or if the room was dim, not they didn't see completely, just dim compared to another room which was very, with full light, They cheated more if they had a chance. They broke the rules more, and they lost their temper more. Like it's like they feel that they are less anonymous. So, if, for example, if you stand next to other people, there is a better chance that you will not shout, even if you wanted to shout at them, because you have self-control. So light is doing that in a way. When the room is full of light, there is a better chance you will control yourself. You will think before you're breaking some ethical or social rules.
So, Thalma, if I'm hearing you correctly, if we're talking to a law office, it would probably be good for them to have one or two well-lit meeting rooms, because if there's a difficult meeting, a divorce negotiation, a union negotiation that could go on hours or days, it would be to their advantage just to keep everybody proper and honest, to keep that room as light as possible, light walls and perhaps windows if available.
Yeah, definitely. That's a very good conclusion. If you want people to behave, that's not the only thing. That's a tip that can help, definitely can help.
Now, Thalma, when you walk into an office, you're the expert. It must be like the doctor looking at someone and saying, oh, you didn't eat this, or you have to drink more water. What are some of the things that pop right out to you when maybe you walk into a store or an office building, some of the immediate things that you see and say, oh, that should be changed?
Well, as long as we are still in the physical things, so as we talked before, I look at the light. I also notice the temperature. Temperature has a lot of influence on us, more than people might think. People know, of course, what is comfortable for them, but a temperature can also influence our performance. If I go to an office, I would advise them to, within the comfort zone, to be a little bit more on the cooler side. When we are, within the comfort zone, between 68 to 72, if you go upper and more, and you make it a little bit warmer and more warmer, you perform worse. Because even if you feel comfortable at the time, you should feel a little bit cooler if you want to be at your best. On the other hand...
So cooler is better. Is that the word? Cooler is better?
Bit, yeah.
Okay.
Cooler, but within the comfort zone. But also, we have to think about individual differences, because what is cooler for men is not the same as cooler for women. And, there are many, many studies showing that when there is a meeting, and I know from my own experience, I sit on several board of directors and all kind of committees, and sometimes I'm the only woman or there is another woman, but most of them are men, and I'm always freezing. I learned already to put a sweater in my purse in the summer, I'm talking, because they're... But within the comfort zone that you feel comfortable, make it a little bit cooler. Now, when it's warmer, people are more conforming. They seem to agree with you more. So if you are, now I'm going to marketing, if you want to sell something, or if you want people to agree with you, coming back to your example of the lawyer office or any other office that they want to discuss something, if you are negotiating and you want other people to agree with you, a little bit warmer will be good, because people agree more and are more comfortable, conforming when it's warmer. On the other hand, if you want to make a discussion group and you don't want that everybody will agree with everybody, you're thinking about something in your, how to solve a problem, you want to hear different opinions, don't make it too warm, because then people will agree with the first one because it's warm. So also in a store, if you want to sell something, don't make it too warm, but a little bit toward the warmer side. When you're sitting, like I'm sitting now in the computer and working, I'll always make it within the comfort zone, a little bit cooler.
Thalma, I want to talk to you more on that, but I want to let our audience once again know that you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan. Today our guest is Thalma Lobel. Her book is Whatever Works. Thalma, tell us where we can get the book and the website once again.
We can get the book Whatever Works, the small cues that make a surprising difference in our success at work and how to create a happier office, in Barnes & Nobles, in Amazon. You can see in Amazon also the reviews about it, which I'm very glad to say they're all 5 stars. And my website is thalmalobel.com, Thalma, Thalma, Lobel, Lobl.com.
And Thalma, just as you're telling us this, I wonder when you go into a negotiation or a doctor's office, a lot of these things I would never have observed until I read your book, until I talked to you today. Do a lot of us go in and we don't realize why that salesman is so persuasive or she's persuasive, but she's in a well-lit room, the temperature is warm, it's conducive. It's a lot of little things, isn't it, that make us want to buy that car or that jewelry, and we don't even realize what's behind it that's kind of pushing it. Would I be correct to say that?
Yeah, you will be correct. And the good thing about it that when you read the book and you know all these tips, and there are many more about creativity and all that, if we have a chance to talk about them, you will be more aware of that. And you make these small changes that can really tip the scale into your favor in negotiations, for example. Yeah.
Thalma, today, with many people working from home, what advice would you give them to make when we say office, sometimes their office is the kitchen table, it's a section of the bedroom, it might be a separate room if they're fortunate, or space in the basement. What tips would you give them to enhance their workability? And maybe, let's say they're a salesman or saleswoman working from home, things that would bring up their bottom line.
Well, if you work from home, as you said now, it depends on your home. But if you can designate a special place that will be your office, even if it's a part of your bedroom, or if you have your own room, that's the best thing to do, is to designate your own office. Then think about all the things that I said before about the temperature, about the light. Actually, you can control better than maybe in your office when there is a general temperature or something. So think about all these things, the temperature, the light. If you can choose a room with a window, definitely do that. If there is a window with a view, even better. If you don't worry. And especially at home, that nobody is monitoring you, take a break from time to time. And if you have a chance, go down, even for 10 or 15 minutes, and walk within nature. It doesn't have to be a wild forest. It can be the park next to you, or a little garden that you can look at flowers. You know, there is a study showing that's amazing, that people were given a cognitive task, something to solve. And in the middle, they were told to stop and look for 40 seconds. Either one group looked at a roof with concrete roof, no flowers, nothing. The other one looked at a green roof with grass and some flowers. Those who looked for 40 seconds at that roof with the green performed better. So get up from your chair, and if you can and you have a chance, go out or look at the window, or if you can do both, look at pictures. And that's the other thing I wanted to say. You can look at the pictures on your computers of nature. You can hear or listen to nature's voices via the internet, or you can even take an imaginary walk in nature in the internet. All these that I'm saying were done by research, showing that people that would do the imaginary walk in nature in the internet also performed better, and their stress was reduced. So even if you feel you're at home, you have to finish something, you have your own schedule, which is great at home. If you're a morning person, get up very early and work even before the kids get up. If you're an evening person, you can work at night. So these are the advantages. The disadvantages to working from home are, of course, that you don't see people, you miss the office buzz and all that. So from that point of view, make a point to have lunch with either a colleague, or if you don't have a colleague, even with a friend from time to time, get out, or even sit in a coffee shop from time to time, even if you don't talk to people, but you see people around you. But again, these are individual difference. Some people love it, don't miss the people. Some people miss them more, so do that.
So what I'm getting, Thalma, from you is that if we are working from home, one, get some pleasant sounds, whether it's nature sounds or, I guess, birds chirping or something that we can put in during the day, either through our computer or maybe just a soundtrack, but something that would give us a touch with nature. If we can get out and take a walk, even if it's in the city or not at a park, but just the fact that we're getting out and closer to nature is helping.
Yeah, but just to make sure, not during our work, but take a break and do that, and then continue your work. Not all the time, not as a background, unless it doesn't disturb. Yeah.
Now, tell us about the pandemic. I mean, and I'm sure you're seeing this more and more. This must have doubled your business. What kind of changes do offices come to you about now? And what are you suggesting to them, whether it's a small at-home office, the financial planner or insurance agent who works from home, etc.? What do you think would be good for that person to add to their work area?
So that's what I said. First of all, designate your own office, your own place. Don't change all the time. You can go from time to time and lie in bed with your computer. Nothing will happen. But in general, have your own office. As I say, take breaks from time to time. All the things that I said about nature, I don't want to repeat them. Think about light. Choose a room if you can. I say again all the time, if you can, because not always you can, with a window, that you have daylight, not artificial light. And from time to time, talk to people with Zoom or something that you will see other people. And have your own schedule. Now, it's very important to learn that, because some people can do that. Some people have more temptations at home. You know, they want to look at Netflix, the other chapter, to continue with the chapter that I started last night, or to go to the refrigerator all the time. So they have to learn to do that slowly. Some people, for them, it's easier. So these are, in general, my advices.
Thalma, you've given us great advice. And what I like especially about it, it's very simple, and these are usually the best tips. And it can save a business a lot of money just by doing something so small, because it makes the business more pleasant and it makes the workers happier and more productive. So you've added a lot to us. I want our audience once again to know the book is Whatever Works by our guest Thalma, Thalma Lobel, Lobel. Thalma, tell us where we can get the book and give us the website once again.
We can get the book, Whatever Works, in Amazon very easily, and in Barnes & Nobles and other websites that sell books. And my website is thalmalobel.com, Thalma, Thalma, Lobel, Lobel.com, where you can see a lot of stuff about my other book and this book, and some of the reviews, which are great, I have to say, and I'm very happy. And that's
hopefully we'll see a lot of well-lit offices that are properly heated, but not too hot to make us uncomfortable or unproductive. Thalma, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
We'd like to let our audience know that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, asking you to please join us again next week at the same time when we will continue our journey to success.